everybody, and welcome to Reed's Reads, Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. I am your host, Ryan Reed. Please come check us out at thespidermancrawlspace.com. It's been quite a while since I've been able to do a review. There were many things going on between time, schedule, work, and family that kept me from doing my reviews. So I am officially back here to review Amazing Spider-Man 800 and 801 and to give a quick little follow-up at the end of Dan Slott's 10-year run on Amazing Spider-Man, and of course to review Free Comic Book Day by Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley. So let's get right into Amazing Spider-Man 800, the big anniversary issue. First of all, the pros. Now, you actually have to look at this. It is really a very high-stakes issue. I mean, Spider-Man is running around knowing the Red Goblin, Norman Osborn with the Carnage symbiote on him, has basically targeted all his loved ones, everyone from Aunt May to Mary Jane to, Liz Allen and so forth and so forth. And Peter actually uses a lot of his allies here, from Flash, Thompson, better known as Anti-Venom now, to Silk about fighting the Red Goblin. And of course, you do feel that there's a lot of high stakes and there's a lot of problems and there are a lot of wonderful moments about rescuing the day. Also, I'm very satisfied with the conclusion, the fact that Spider-Man was able to basically tell Norman Osborn that no matter what, he will never defeat Spider-Man by himself, and as a result, ends up ditching the Carnage symbiote enough for Peter to defeat him, and of course, even shows that he's not only able to outsmart him, but then of course take care of and finish things up. But it kind of leads more to the cons, too. I mean, this feels like a very, very oversized issue that could have been used better. A lot of the Red Goblin's attacks and his victims could have been narrowed down a little bit more. Otto Octavius getting thrown in for Dr. Octopus saving Aunt May, and basically Peter saying, "We're square now, Otto. All that crazy thing, taking over my body, messing up my whole life and everything for that whole Superior Spider-Man for a year and a half. Yeah, we're square. Life is great. Go upon and enjoy your time at Horizon University," which is where Otto, of course, ends up at the end of the issue. So you definitely see much more of a pet character there, too. Also, you also see a lot of pieces. When Peter actually throws himself in front of the Green Goblin to keep Eugene and Jameson from actually shooting him, in a way, it's kind of, but as much as that is Peter's, whole morals about no one dies on his watch, after everything that happens and the fact that Jameson has quite a bit of credit there, he could have taken out the Green Goblin once some more. Of course, he had in that whole healing factor and a couple other things. Who knows? Also, a lot of the ends of conclusions are pretty lackluster or bad. Everything with Normie Osborn, Norman's grandson, with the Goblin Child, as he is known as. Basically, he's not here showing the Carnage symbiote. And the fact that Alchemax has taken the Carnage symbiote and say, "Oh, we got it under lock and key and we'll keep an eye on it." Because that's worked so well for everyone. Every time they try to keep the symbionts from the government, S.H.I.E.L.D., Dr. Doom, that's all gone right out the well. But, it's Alchemax. We'll do it right. Yeah, it does not work. But that leads to one of the hugest pieces, which, of course, is the death of Eugene Flash Thompson, now known as Anti-Venom. While you definitely see Flash, having a wonderful moment with Peter and knowing that he is Spider-Man, he's always been his hero and everything. You saw his death coming for a while, and Flash's death seems to be more of like someone had to die for the storyline to make it great, when it really didn't need to be. There's some definitely nice pieces with Peter visiting him at the cemetery and going over the memories they've had together, but it just doesn't ring very well. So that's the problem with the story. Overall, I'll give it, of course, a B-. It's actually not a bad storyline, but for $10.99 and everything that's in the story, it doesn't lead to the greatest of a big anniversary issue. But I get it was Dan Slott's big swan song with all the different artists, and there's some really great work on here, everybody from Roberto Ramos to Stuart Hyman. So art-wise, it's pretty good, but it doesn't flow very nice. There's some issues here and there, which leads to one, which is the final issue between Dan Slott and Marco. And it goes back to actually the year one of Peter Parker, him saving a person who was heading to a convenience store to go see his father, who was in the hospital, deathly sick. On his death, how Spider-Man saved his life at a convenience store so he could actually live to go work hard and end up being a great uncle for his niece and nephew as a result. It's a very nice story, and especially at the end when Keith is thanking Spider-Man for everything he did over the last 10 years and what it meant for him. It's a nice touch. It's very quiet, which is actually probably one of Dan Slott's best. In fact, I'll give it a B plus as the main grade. The cons of the story, unfortunately, was once again Peter is not really part of the story. Yes, Spider-Man's in it, but it's not that story. It's more similar along the lines of the kid who collects Spider-Man, and some of the other stories that have happened over years were much more quieter in Spider-Man. And it's a nice story. It's really good. Like I said, it's a B plus, which kind of leads it all whole circle here now to Dan Slott's 10-year run on Spider-Man. I'm actually gonna give it a B minus. Originally, I was gonna go for a C plus, but there are some very good stories I did enjoy. Ends of the Earth, the death of Marla Jameson, which was a really good storyline early on Big Time, which was really when Dan Slott took over as the main writer of Amazing Spider-Man, and of course some of the work he did early on in Brand New Day with, of course, the Thunderbolts and a few other stories. But there's a lot of stories that were big and powerful event stories that just did not stick the landing. They looked good in concept, but they didn't execute. They caused a lot of cast members really not to be thinking. Black Cat's probably one of the worst storylines I saw, with her character change and everything with other writers trying to make her better, which was just poorly handled, and just quite a few other storylines with the casts and characters ending out, the whole thing with Mary Jane, and a few other things. But storylines like Spider Island, like I said, death of Marla Jameson were really good stories. I loved Ends of the Earth with the Sinister Six. I thought it was a really good story, but there were so many other stories that just didn't work. Spider-Verse, I'm not even going to go into, especially what happened with Spider-Girl in that story and the upcoming sequel, Spider-Geddon's October. But it just doesn't work for the stories in that. So I'm actually going to give Dan Slott a B minus for his storyline, especially after we 801 run up and looking for the good times. And of course Superior, which started out fantastic, but towards the end of its run was very quick and rush and other issues. So his whole run, I will actually give a higher grade of a B minus instead of a C plus, which was my original decision. Moving on, after that, let's get to Free Comic Book Day Amazing Spider-Man. Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley begin their little piece for their Amazing Spider-Man run. It kicks off here in a couple weeks. So let's get right to the pros. First of all, this feels like a really just normal Spider-Man. I mean, yeah, granted, we got the reintroduction and Peter's looking for an apartment with Randy Robertson, which we haven't seen in a while. And it's just the stories work really well. Peter using excuses, fighting the new Sinister Syndicate, which is with Boomerang, and the new Electro, Francine Fry, the new Big Wheel, the Rhino. And it's a fun story. I mean, you really get to see Peter do the jokes really well, the action's good, and you have Spider-Man who really doesn't have to rely on people. He's doing whatever he can to help the citizens try to stop the bad guys, and it's really good. I like that they actually fit in a little bit with the current continuity from Daredevil and getting the whole setup, and then the conclusion with Fred Myers, aka Boomerang, being Peter and Randy's third roommate, using the chameleon's face-changing technology so he doesn't quite look himself. That looks really cool. I like that was a great cliffhanger. But the artwork is fantastic. Right, Ottley, I loved his work on Invincible for the last 14 years. I think he's the right choice for Spider-Man. He's done some Marvel work in the past, believe it or not, mostly with the Walking Dead creator himself. But it's really, really nice. I really love the artwork. It flows really good. The characters look great. I love the emotional pieces, the designs, and so forth. Really good. Cons-wise, first of all, they've pretty much said this story is supposed to be in between issue 600 and 601, which is between Wilson Fisk being the mayor of New York and Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, becoming the mayor of New York after Wilson is attacked and severely injured by the hand. And granted, they were saying there's a couple of months had passed in between the storylines, so there is a very tight window of how Nick Spencer's going to get everything with the Kingpin and the mayor's office working with Spider-Man, which I'm looking excited to see, especially the little subplot with whatever Boomerang gave the Kingpin to buy him off so he had time for escape. And there is some very interesting things I like with the stories. Unfortunately, there's a lot of weird glaring issues. First of all, we have the new Electro, Francine Fly, which is the clone. I'm hoping Nick Spencer finds a way to bring Electro back, the regular one, Max Dillon, because I don't think this is going to work. She's full of puns that are actually not even funny under Nick Spencer, and I think he did that on purpose. And of course, another thing was Boomerang's wearing his Thunderbolts emblem again, which makes absolutely no sense when that was actually take care of superior foes of Spider-Man. So yeah, and the whole roommate situation with Randy and Peter, definitely original, but at the same time, as we know, it's probably not going to last as a storyline, maybe at least not up to the first year, especially when I think Peter might catch on. But it might be interesting between Boomerang's living with Spider-Man and Spider-Man's living with Boomerang. So it looks to be a very interesting story with what Randy Robertson popped in. So I'm actually going to give the story an A-. I really, really liked it. It gives me a lot of hope for the upcoming run here by Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley. I'm really looking forward to the run here after 10 years. First time I'll be collecting Spider-Man on a regular basis for the first time in 4 years. They've only been bits and pieces over the last 10 years. So that is, of course, my full review. So Dan Slott's full review, I'll give him a B- for his 10-year run. I'm going to give an A- to Nick Spencer, and a lot of hopes here for the upcoming storylines in the future. So with that done, guys, I will see everybody later. Please check us out at thespidermancrawlspace.com for more information and reviews, and I'll see you guys out in the web.